Call the meeting to order, the Monday, June 17th Charter Review Commission. Roll call.
Bulmer.
Here.
Craig.
Here.
Deeth.
Here.
Denning.
Here.
DeRue.
Here.
Hayek.
Here.
Kuchera.
Here.
Maliabo.
Here.
Patel.
Great timing.
Hello. Hi there. We have no correspondence for item 3, so we'll go right to item 4. We're going to continue the discussion
John.
of the review of the city.
Item 2 for the draft minutes.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I've overlooked that. Yes, I'd like to have a motion to adopt the draft minutes as presented or amended for May 23rd. Is there a motion?
So moved?
Moved by Deeth,
Second.
seconded by Craig. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 3, we have no correspondence. Item 4, we're going to continue the discussion of the review of the city charter, the preamble. Again, as previously mentioned, we're going to be not making decisions on anything until we've had our public hearings and everything, but we'll try to arrive at some consensus on what we've talked about previously. City Attorney Gores gave us a proposal on some of the preamble items, and I think you've all seen that. Is there any discussion on those recommendations?
Can we see where that latest iteration is? I just want to be sure we're all sort of looking at the same thing.
So that's in the memorandum?
Right, that was May 9th memorandum, and
And then there was something in the minutes about an additional change to one sentence in the preamble. So, yeah. So the final iteration would be with that.
I think this was in response to your recommendation, and then he had recommended a shorter version, which
Yes, so, I went over that, and I like all the changes that were suggested and the final language suggested for the preamble, so. Oh,
I
one thing, was this in the preamble or in the Article 1? No, oh, it was in the definitions. So was rightfully pointed out that qualified elector actually is in documents. So until it's gone, we need to keep that definition. But I was wondering, as part of our recommendations, can we say we had a discussion of this and really, eligible elector is the better language, so the people who can amend it could do so, and then 10 years from now, maybe the Charter Commission.
It's a long process.
Yes, 10 years from now, if they've managed that, then we can take out the definition.
I like that.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Of course, by 10 years from now, state election law could be changed too. That seems to happen pretty much every session, except this year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Male property owners?
let's talk about the
They
preamble
haven't,
first,
they're not that far yet.
Yeah.
Working on it.
then we'll go to the definition. You see that?
Well, we're working our way through.
Do you want me to-
Yeah,
Wish I had my other glasses. So preamble 1A, at the 514 meeting, there was consensus to have it read, each individual shall have an equal opportunity to participate in the life of the city, including economic, cultural, and intellectual. And then it just died.
well, including in
In the life of the city,
life of the
including
city,
economic,
including-
cultural, and intellectual, yes, period.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the pursuit of happiness versus happiness question. Yes.
And then B, discrimination prohibited by Title II of the city code shall not be tolerated, period.
Yeah.
I think that was in reference to your memo.
Yeah, so,
Again, the current, or the latest iteration that we gave, sort of a loose consensus around was from the May 9 memo from Eric.
Yes.
And the second red line version of 1A, each individual shall have the opportunity to participate in the economic, cultural, and intellectual life of the city. That's the latest.
Flipped
Right.
Yeah, it's flipped around, just in the life of the city. Yours is at the end and mine's in the middle. To participate in the life of the city, including blah, blah, blah. I mean, comes across the same. It's how, whether they want it at the end or in the middle.
Yeah. Is that preference? Again, this is all tentative, but.
Could you read
Yeah.
that again?
Sure.
I do
One
yours?
version is each individual shall have the opportunity to participate in the economic, cultural, and intellectual life of the city, period.
And then I have in my notes, each individual shall have an equal opportunity to participate in the life of the city, including economic, cultural, and intellectual.
Yeah, I think we wanted to stray away from the equal opportunity just because of different people's abilities. I think maybe that was an earlier version. So,
I think so too, because we talked about you can't have somebody blind driving the bus.
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
As an example.
yeah.
If I recall the discussion, it was the first version with them in front made it seem somewhat restricted that those were all that define the life of a city.
Right.
Where there's recreational and other things, and so you could have the life of the city more broadly and then list them behind as examples of facets of life in the city.
So in the life of the city, in the middle, examples.
Well,
at the end.
yeah,
Okay.
comma. City, I believe.
Is that agreeable?
Yeah.
Yeah, one more time. I have
Each individual shall have an equal opportunity to participate in the life of the city, including economic, cultural, and intellectual.
so maybe we just want to lose the word equal there.
Yes,
Yeah, okay,
yes.
Have an opportunity.
yes.
an opportunity or the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Sounds good on, were we good on B, or do you want me to read that again?
They're the same.
It should be. This is from your memo.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
B was.
Discrimination prohibited by Title II of this code shall not be tolerated.
Yeah, that was Eric's, helped us
Yeah.
with that verbiage.
Yeah, I mean, that keeps us broad, and it implies that as Title II changes, then this will always be relevant.
Yep.
We'll just
Yeah.
go
Yep.
with-
That's what you had said, that was your recommendation, it was a good one.
Okay. And then the next one was the number 2 about discrimination. We talked that, and then we were fine with that. Okay.
Options from Jereen.
So is there anything else in the preamble that we,
I'm sorry, for number 2, was that with the inclusions from Jereen? Commissioner Denning?
I think he may be referencing B.
B, yes,
B?
Oh, B, I'm
Preamble,
sorry.
B.
1B
1B. Yes.
in the preamble.
Yeah.
2B, isn't it?
Item number 2.
It's 1B.
1B.
It's paragraph 2 of the memo, but it's 1B of the
Right.
preamble.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
this.
Right.
Okay.
That is correct.
Wherever it is.
Confusing ourselves here.
That's just the number 2 in the memo, but it's referring to preamble section 1B.
1B.
I think.
So
Okay.
this raises a question, just wondering, Kelly, if there's a way to keep a running document that has just, markup included for our changes. And it kind of keeps us accountable for where we're at, and then we can see the work that we've done for changes. It may also be good when we're completely done, then we can show the changes to the public for more input.
Yeah, and you want those included in every packet, kind of as we, the only reason I haven't done it so far is because there was a few meetings where people were not here, and we were circling back.
For me, I don't need it printed. I think just having a document that we can access online with that, with the tracking, and it's public as well, if that's an option. If not, meeting printout is fine. Just trying to reduce paper.
Sure.
Well, while Kelly's thinking of that, I'll ask this question. Normally, draft documents are not open records and thus would not need to be
Okay.
released. That said, we're discussing them at an open meeting, so it's not as though anyone's trying to hide the ball. My
Yeah.
question to you is, are you folks okay with, depending on, where we end up parking that draft, assuming it's someplace you folks would be able to access it and/or a place where even members of the public would be able to access it? Are you folks as a commission okay with that?
Well, John and I have, Chair Palmer and I have talked a lot about really wanting to have people's input. And so I think it's important for us to track our changes and for them to be able to see that in an open forum style. I know that's not traditional, but I think we're charged with the duty to make changes and seeking public's input, and that'll be a great way for them
Sure.
to see the changes we're suggesting. Just
All right,
a
so
thought
I
of people's support.
assume you're okay with us indicating something to the effect of this is a working document, this is a
Yeah.
draft, this is
Right.
far
Oh,
from,
yeah.
yeah.
I totally agree.
Have a foot out the door.
For the reasons given, I think the public, we want the public to be following what we're doing, but it needs to be very clear that just because it happens to be highlighted in red here as a change, it doesn't mean it's going to be a change at the
Right.
end.
Right, we can craft some language to that effect.
Yeah. So what would be posted, I think it would get confusing if we had like every iteration posted, rather just whatever our consensus is versus what the charter currently says, because otherwise, I don't know how the public would follow.
Right, because there's some items we're coming to consensus on and others that we're not.
Yeah.
I think it should just be things we've
After
come
every
to
meeting.
consensus on.
Yeah.
I think so, too. We would only want things that we've come to consensus on. Like, there's already been discussions that we don't all agree on that we've already had. So
Right.
those could be tricky to put on there because you wouldn't want like.
That's where I was
So,
kind of going
yeah.
to say, as
Yeah.
long as I know after each meeting or at the end of each meeting what the consensus
Sure.
is, I can update that after each meeting.
Sure.
Right,
That sounds good.
Sure.
that's good.
That'd be really helpful.
So
And
we
if
have
you
one
need-
thing right now we've come to,
The preamble. Yeah.
One 1A and 1D.
Yeah, and really, the easiest thing. I mean, that's,
And
we've
if you
got some
need
tough sledding ahead of us.
If you need clarification, ask us. If we're not being,
Yeah.
Sure.
direct on this, let us
Eric's
know.
like,
No, that's right. We
Yeah.
will want to make sure. Because sometimes there can be discussions and, we're here from 2 or 3 members. Like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, do we hear from 5 of you that that's good?
Right.
Yeah, that's really what we'd be looking for, yeah.
Well, if it's more helpful to you guys, we can just, at the end of our meeting, before we end, we can say, do we have a consensus on this? And then that can be sort of our informal vote for moving it to the draft,
Straw poll, yeah.
something like that. Does
or
that,
after each section, or depending on, what you're reviewing
Yeah.
that meeting.
does that sound okay to
Yeah,
everybody?
we'll try to interject.
Okay.
Matt, you have thoughts on it?
Yeah, except that the preamble work we just did is fairly easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the heavier things we're going to get into, we've talked also about having public input even before we, I mean, we may, we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I don't think it'll be so easy going forward.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, certainly with those issues we've discussed, districts and like direct election of mayor, I think that's definitely something that'll be different.
Yeah.
The rest of the document could be fairly
Yeah.
routine. We hope it is anyway. So.
we could also back our way into those things by looking for other low-hanging fruit.
Some things off the table.
If there's something that we have to add or.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It would be nice.
I think it's also really nice then for our community to be able to keep up with where we're at in the review process if we have some kind of work documented outside of the meeting in that document that we're talking about, like, they're here. So if you have things you want to talk to them about, this is where they're at.
Yeah.
Because we saw how much we just struggled looking for, what was our final, you know what I mean? That's why I'm thinking about
Yeah.
that, so.
Right. Well, we're actually working through some of that now. Commissioner Denning had made some earlier changes, earlier than the May 9th memo that you'd asked me to revise.
And April 25th late handouts.
Yeah, to the preamble, and I guess assuming there's a consensus with the commission, would want to make sure that we capture those changes as well. I wonder, do you want us to just read through that again? Lisa, as a
Let's
refresher?
do.
Okay.
Yeah,
I-
let's do.
I would just say, I don't think something that comes from one person. I mean.
Right, that's why we're
I mean, she
asking.
shared that
Yeah.
because she wasn't going to be at a meeting, and it would
Right.
have been what she said in conversation, and some things might have gone away and some things might have stayed.
Right. That's exactly why we're asking, because we're tasked with kind of having the latest and greatest version, and we want to make sure we capture what that latest and greatest version is before we come back next time.
There is one, I think is uncomfortable, change that I'd like to make throughout the document, and I'm not sure when to bring it up. Several places it says she, he, and to recognize that not everybody goes by, identifies as male or female, to change it to the singular they. And I'm not sure where all that was. And the most times I noticed it was in the petition. But I don't know, I wasn't sure when to bring that up.
All right, well, before we ask for a consensus on that, do you want to handle the, want us to read the preamble language that we have, and then you folks can?
Go ahead.
Yay or nay?
Sure, let's do it. Yes, let's do it.
And what are we looking at?
So this is the first paragraph of the preamble, that there were suggested changes from Commissioner Denning back on, it was,
Didn't we, aren't there minutes of discussion we had on that?
there are, but a lot of times I'm not sure it was like a solidified, especially with people gone.
Yeah. Okay.
And there are minutes from, it would have been the April 25th.
514 packet here.
And so in the minutes from April 25th, there was a late handout which Commissioner Denning presented that had additional proposed changes to the preamble, which included language from the Model City Charter, which was included in the previous packet. And Vice Chair Kuchera outlined some of the recommended changes, which combined the example from the model charter and the current city charter. Let me see, I'm just seeing if there's a consensus, and I apologize, I wasn't at that meeting, so. Okay, and at the end of that, Attorney Goers was going to draft some recommended language, but that was regarding 1B, 1A and 1B. So I'm not sure that there was a consensus out loud on that first initial paragraph. There was a lot of discussion on 1A and 1B.
Right. So I mean, I have a copy of my original.
And, yeah, I mean, I've got the,
Okay.
I kind of roughed it up, and I can certainly read it, and you can confirm with me, Jareen, if everybody wants me to do so.
Okay. Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
Okay. We, the people of Iowa City, Iowa, pursuant to the Constitution and the statutes of the state of Iowa and the principle of self-determination, proclaim that the government of Iowa City belongs to all of its residents, and all share the responsibility for it. We hereby adopt this charter and confer upon it the full home rule powers of a charter, and here's charter city, and this is with the addition, in order to provide for an honest and accountable city council manager government, period. By this action, and this is an addition after this, we secure the benefits of home rule and affirm values of representative democracy, professional management, strong political leadership, public engagement, diversity and inclusiveness, and regional cooperation. Furthermore, adoption of this city charter recognizes the following principles. And so those two sections were additions, where I mentioned those.
I'm comfortable with that language. Is anyone not comfortable with that language? That might be.
Sorry, Kelly, I have a question. You said adoption of the city charter. Here, mine says just this charter. Is there a city in it?
Are you in the,
Furthermore, adoption of this
charter.
charter. I
That
think you
was-
say city charter.
furthermore, adoption of this charter recognizes? Sorry, yes.
I'm comfortable with the language.
Is there anything to consider about putting council manager government as the form of government in the preamble? I mean, the rest of the document supports that, so it's not adding new information or unintended consequences, I guess, if that seems to be the new thing.
Right, are you asking whether it adds by noting the council manager form of government here? Is that
Correct,
where-
yeah, if it would.
Well, I guess, I don't know, that's up to you. As you say, the structure of our government is laid out in detail following this preamble. Obviously, the balance in a preamble is you'd like to kind of stick to high principles and keep it short instead of recounting the whole charter, obviously. Where that balance lies is obviously a judgment call, and it's for you folks to decide.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm probably all right with it. I think I said I was previously anyway, but I want to make sure, we have a really readable document that we're starting with, and I think it's important for the public for it to remain as readable as possible. So the model charter sort of, at least in that paragraph, doubles the length of it, which is fine, but we just need to keep that top of mind, I think. That short, crisp, just makes it more understandable to the public. But nothing in that is objectionable to me, per se.
Yeah, I'm one that exercises caution on in these areas, and if we're going to be making changes, I want to make sure they enhance the document that we have. I guess I'd concur that my initial blush, it doesn't cause a problem, but I think the document itself, being short and succinct, is beneficial to us, and it has been for a long time. So I'll reserve judgment on that until we get the final. But other than that, I think we have consensus at this point.
That's my,
That's your
Consensus word.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Are we here to see what we can change or what we can add? But if there's a place where it looks fine, like Matt said, shorter, good, why are we adding if it's good and it's clear? I'm not sure.
I think it came from, I mean, the example that was given, Bijou, that's what we were looking at. And I think that's what you were looking at as well. The example that was provided, there is more verbiage in it, and it's more inclusive language. And so I think that's why it was suggested to be added.
I'm nothing against it, it's great.
Right.
But I think that's why.
And do we have to always add
No.
or retract?
No.
No, we
we
don't
can
have
leave
to.
sections.
Have to, yeah.
And I do think that more inclusive language sort of makes up for taking equality out. We realize equality is not practically possible, but if we can share up the language that talks about, inclusion, then I think that's a good thing.
One of the reasons why, I added it was because when I read it in the Model Charter Review Commission, it just struck me, some of these things I hadn't thought about, right, as being important or things. So it's more words, but it's more concepts that I think the people may be able to think about. You don't want words that are unnecessary. But I was just struck by how much that enhanced my sort of understanding of what we were trying to do. So.
No, and certainly from the change from 50 years ago, there's no question you could add to it and make it a stronger document, that's for sure, so. Okay?
I think you got consensus on that section.
Yes.
Progress.
Should I keep going?
Yes.
Number 1 of the preamble, resident participation on an equitable and inclusive basis as part of the process of democratic self-government, period, more specifically, and then it goes to A and B. So the additions is equitable and then as part of the process of are the additions.
Everybody all right with that?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
And we talked about A and B. 2 reads, "The provision of city services, including but not limited to those related to the health, safety, and welfare of its residents in an equitable, inclusive, effective, efficient, and just manner." So the additions are city services, including but not limited to those. And for equitable was A, and then inclusive, effective, and just are the additions.
Right, and that was, again, the model charter thing talked about those as they're not all the same thing. Just is different from equitable, and inclusive is different from, so it, again, just sort of broadens, or it enhances, our goals, or our statement of principles, or something, whatever.
Okay.
And it appears to be deleting the word fair from the original, just to note that.
Yeah, put that back.
Okay.
I know
Agreement?
what I said.
Okay,
It's not
consensus?
fair.
Good.
It's so true.
Number 3, the conduct of city business in conformity with the principles and practices of due process, equal protection under the laws, and protection of individual liberties granted by the Constitution of the United States, by the state of Iowa, and by local ordinances. So additions are the principles and practices before due process, protection of before individual liberties granted by the Constitution, and that's capitalized, of the United States, and then by the state of Iowa and by local ordinances.
Would state be capitalized?
State of Iowa?
Oh, state.
Probably, yeah.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
What about Constitution?
Yeah, that's.
Yes, that was in the,
Okay. I'm looking at the
Yeah, the
existing
original,
language
yeah.
rather than that.
John, you don't get credit for that, somebody
Yeah.
else came up.
Somebody else caught it first? Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
and number 4, civility and responsiveness by city employees in their interactions with the public. So, and responsiveness is the addition.
Okay,
Okay.
sound good?
With that.
All right.
And then number 5, the whole thing was an addition. Fair and effective environmental stewardship that treasures the many wonders of our unique environment and recognizes that the power and duty to protect this region is inherent to its people.
I like that, Elaine.
I like the sentiment. It seems a little highfalutin language, as in,
A little flowery.
we don't have the power, this region,
Yeah.
Others in our region may not agree with us.
Is this necessary to be added? That would be my question.
Yeah.
I think it is necessary, mainly because environmental stewardship
Sure.
is a value that many, including myself, many of the people of Iowa City whole, at least the people I'm around, and is nice to have language that talks about that. They, yeah. I have no trouble changing
But I think it could be a
some.
lot simpler, like environmental stewardship is a component of city government. I mean, there are some cities that wouldn't agree with that, but I think Iowa City would, period.
So the sentiment is good, the language could be tightened up?
Right.
Yes, that's,
Yeah, we get
I
pretty-
agree with that.
We get pretty wordy here.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to,
I like it. I think it's more welcoming to me. When I read this part, I see all type of people being part of it. So I don't know if we shorten, we need to find, I like the wonder, many wonder, I like
Yeah.
unique environments, the power and duty to protect. I don't know if we change it, can we still have those words and then shorten it? I don't know.
So what, just to clarify, what you, yeah, and I do like that treasures the many wonders of our unique environment. Do you want the period to be there and then, and delete the rest? I'm just asking if that's what you want.
You guys want to shorten, I think it's good, but if we shorten, I think I like the wording, it feels welcoming for everyone.
Yeah, it
So
does.
If we shorten, can we still have those words?
All those,
Many wonder of our unique environments, you know, and the power and duty to protect this region. I like that.
Can I ask about power and duty? As I've asked before, to you specifically, Eric, are there words in this that could create liability for the city?
Well, I mean, you're right to raise the question about whether a duty is imposed and whether there could be a challenge based on our preamble. I think, possibly, I think the response would be, well, hold on, the preamble is aspirational language and it's not intended to be hard and concrete in its application and enforceability. But you're right, I mean, it could provide an avenue to try to challenge if someone were to think that the city should be doing more, or the city approved a project which some feel is environmentally unfriendly or not environmentally friendly enough in their mind, then yeah, there's some chance of that. So if you're asking for my preference, it would be that we remove words like power and duty from the language.
I'm wondering if rather, since this is an important concept to capture, but we are looking to preserve brevity, if rather than making it its own new list, if we go back up to what Commissioner Denning had shared, where we added the values. So in the first paragraph of the preamble, it says, by this action, we secure the benefits of home rule and affirm the values of representative democracy, professional management, strong leadership, public engagement, if we wanted to add environmental stewardship.
Fair and effective environmental
Environmental stewardship, and just make
Yeah.
it, then it's not its own point.
Right.
It's still listed as a value that we have as a city.
I like that.
But not a standalone.
Yeah.
I think that's fine.
That's not bad.
yeah.
good.
Could you repeat that?
Sure. So, by this action, we secure the benefits of home rule and affirm the values of representative democracy, professional management, strong political leadership, public engagement, diversity and inclusiveness, regional cooperation, and
Fair and effective environmental stewardship.
Fair and effective environmental stewardship. You could slice it in wherever it works best with the rhythm, but that's the words that we'd want to add.
Okay, I think we got it.
Can we have unique in it?
That'll be in the minutes, so we'll know.
An effective, unique environmental stewardship.
And so deleting 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and incorporating it into,
Bijou, you like the unique environment language.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we add fair and effective environmental stewardship, just fair and effective, unique environmental?
Well,
I
You
don't
could
know if
say-
that-
What's unique is the environment. It's our environment.
Fair and effective stewardship of our unique environment would be the only
Yes.
way that you could include
That's
it.
good.
It
That's
does
good.
make it
Yes.
wordier, it adds a prepositional phrase,
Well,
but.
yeah, you're getting rid of a whole number.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
come on. Word count goes way down.
Yes, look.
Fair and
That gets rid of an extra
effective
line space, too.
Stewardship
I think that works.
Yep.
Yeah.
of
Yep.
our
Fair and
unique
effective stewardship
environment.
of our unique environment. Yeah, that's good.
And fair and effective stewardship of our
Sounds
unique
good.
environment.
Are you happy with that then?
Yeah, I think we're unique. I serve all over the place, so I think each place is unique.
Yeah.
Like the uniqueness.
I was just making sure we have consensus.
Yeah, well, that sounds good.
Okay,
Okay.
agreement, consensus on that.
Okay, preamble.
That it for the preamble?
I think so, because there was consent, we're leaving qualified elector.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Item number 5 is continued discussion and review of the city charter, Article 2, City Council. This specifically relates to City
Sorry.
Attorney Gore's question. Kelly?
Had one, under Article 1, Powers of the City, under Section 1.01, the city shall have
That's one change, yeah.
all powers possible under the Constitution and laws of the state, instead of the city has.
City shall have?
Shall have.
Shall have,
Yes.
okay.
And why is that distinction important?
It's,
That was-
Shall have replacing has, just makes it stronger
Reads better.
language.
Yeah.
Shall have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. And there was an addition of 1.04, but I've got that strike through that we were not going to do that. It was a whole new section.
Right.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. Being married to
Yes,
an
for-
attorney,
yeah.
I appreciated the use of the, Latin in the argument.
Okay.
Sometimes we're our own worst enemy.
It was good.
Item 5,
Okay.
discussion of the review of the city charter, Article 2, City Council. This specifically relates to City Attorney Gore's had a good memorandum to us about adding city attorney and city clerk to the prohibition section, and I think we had a discussion about that last time, and what...
Yeah, including the library and the airport.
Right. And I guess my question about the library and the airport, they are two, by law, state law, they are separate entities. The council's, really the council's main well, the main thing that they have is they have the power of the purse on the library, and they appoint the library members.
Right.
But otherwise, the board of trustees of the library, they
And they
govern.
own the building. The city
They
owns
govern the
building.
they govern the library, so.
Right.
Is it worthwhile to have that language as it relates to the library and the airport? That would be my question, because it's under a separate governance, pretty much. I can see it for the city attorney and the city clerk. I could see that language. I could understand, I think that's appropriate to have this language in there, mirroring what it is with the city manager. But Susan, do you feel that,
Well, it could show up someplace else. The place that I first said it should show up is under the city manager's duties, when it says he hires all these employees because he or is responsible for the hiring of all these employees. He, she, they. Sorry. It could be there. I just think it should be pointed out someplace in
Yeah.
the charter, when they talk about the duties of governance in the city as a whole. The governance of the airport and the library are different from,
And of course, there's been a lot of political interference in libraries in the state and in other states in recent months. So it's a statement.
Well, right, but in section 2.12 specifically, what we're trying to avoid is council interference
Right.
with
Right.
the management and employees. specifically. There are, of course, other places in the code that give, as I think I mentioned in my memo, in Iowa City Code 11-1-2-E, in reference to the library specifically, that kind of gives the board, as Commissioner Craig pointed out, direct and control all the activities and operations of the library. I mean, that's there, but to Commissioner Craig's point, I don't know that that protects library employees or the library executive director any more than it protects city clerk employees or city attorney employees from having council members, bend their ear and say, hey, do this or do that. So, I mean, the point is there. Now, whether, you as a commission want to lay that out here as well is, of course, entirely up to you and the balance of considerations. The second version, of course, in my memo, I lay out kind of two versions of these protections. One where it's just the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk, and the second version where it basically just says all city employees except for the city attorney, city clerk, and city manager. That is, council members, please keep your hands off everyone except for the city manager, city clerk, and city attorney, where of course they can hire and fire us at their pleasure.
I found the second example hard to read. It's longer, there's an except, and then there's a however, which are almost double. It's just, and I know it omits the specific reference to library and airport under section 212, and I'm not denying a desire to confirm insulation or protection there, but I just felt like the first proposed change in that memo was where you added the city attorney and the city clerk. It just seems a lot easier to read to me.
My preference would be just to have the city manager, city clerk, and city attorney addressed in this situation. I just think that it's not as cumbersome with the library and the airport, because they are two separate entities by state law. And that's been the case for a long time. And
Well, it's by local ordinance in the case of the library. It could be changed.
Yes.
Right.
There
but-
are a few public libraries in Iowa, and North Liberty is the closest example, where the library board is not independent.
It's not what?
It's not independent, but
Oh, is that right?
it is not
Okay. I see what you're saying.
a governing body.
Yeah.
It's-
Just advisory?
It's just like, it's an advisory body.
And I would say the same is true of the Airport Commission. I mean, through city code, the rights and powers and duties are given to the commission, with the exception of the ability to sell the airport,
Right.
just like with the library. So they're both mirrored in that way.
And I think we need to want to maintain that separation, obviously. Susan, you feel strongly about it? If you do,
I don't know that it has to be here. I think it could show up also under the city manager's duties or be clarified there, or I'd be fine with it being there instead of here.
When you say at the city manager's duties and so forth,
Isn't there a place in the city
Yeah.
manager's duties where it says that
Some-
they are in charge of all city employees or something?
I think it's Article 4, Section
4.
404, A5.
right.
Appoint or employ persons to occupy positions for which no other method of appointment is provided by state law or this charter. Is that?
You see, you think that covers it?
I don't know, but
Where are you again? 40,
page 9, do you have the,
I have the original.
Original, page
Yeah, I'm
9.
looking at the original. here.
4.0, section 4.04, sub A, sub 5.
Yeah, appoint or employ persons to occupy positions. Okay.
maybe that's not the right,
Yeah.
maybe that's not it.
Okay.
Does library and/or airport appear anywhere else in the charter?
No.
I don't think they do, not that I remember reading. I've read it a number of times, of course. I forget a lot, too. Yeah, I don't know that they are mentioned any.
So the library director is reporting to the city manager or to the library board at
To the
present?
library
To the
board.
library board, and then the library board is appointed by the council.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah,
And the council sets their budget.
Right.
Also.
yeah.
So in some ways, it's challenging to perhaps put it under a section focused on city manager's responsibilities because they are by design not the city manager. They do not appoint them.
Right.
I'm just looking at some of these, unless we were to put an exclusionary like the city manager may not, this section might not work
Right,
to include
right.
it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was thinking there'd be a specific reference maybe in that. I don't know, somewhere to,
It's sort of just, it's a matter of clarity, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, having lived with this charter as the library director for 20 years. Thinking,
Yeah.
what
So,
about us?
You've got some experience on the subject.
It's just, it's a distinction that requires continual explanation to people, like, sort of like, oh, you get to vote in the election, but not the primary, you know? I mean, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is.
so my understanding is that the most important thing is that we come up with language to make sure that the city council and the city manager leave the library board of trustees is in charge of the employees of the library. I'm just asking. And the airport commission, they're in charge of their employees. Is that the goal?
Well, it's just, by leaving that out, people infer all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Because it's not clear. But I don't know, as an attorney, you know, like, when it says with the exception of, and then it lists things like the chief of police, the chief of the fire department, which are subject to approval of the city council, neither the council, the appointment or removal of any person appointed by the city manager, but it doesn't say, we have some employees who are neither appointed by the city manager nor by the council. And that would be the airport manager and the library director.
Well, or Kelly's staff or my staff, for that matter.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Correct.
would there just, so looking at your memo, Eric, I mean, the library has authority under the state code and the city code. The airport commission has authority under the city code that looks, it's pretty good language. It's very broad. Is there a way to at least reference that in the charter,
See, I think that would be fine, too.
you know? Without recreating something, just make reference to it so that if you're looking for that answer in the charter, you're,
You're referred someplace else.
Yeah.
That would be perfectly fine.
Well, it strikes me that we're touching on two different things. Now, one is kind of the council interference part.
Right.
and
Right.
Then the other part is who gets to hire those employees. And I get that, sorry, I've lost the section here. In 4.04A5, certainly that language at present, and I'll just read it again, the city manager shall be chief administrative officer of the city and shall, jumping down to 5, appoint or employ persons to occupy positions for which no other method of appointment is provided by state law or this charter. Well, that, to Commissioner Craig's point, would suggest that the city manager is hiring everybody, and of course, that's not accurate. So if the concern is about making clear who are the hiring and firing authorities for all city employees, then certainly we should do some corrective measures there. If the point is to make sure that council members are not intervening and/or interfering, then, you know, you would probably want to have that language in 2.12 because that's where that language already is, or that topic, I should say, already is.
So who do you want to deal with? Or do you
Well,
want
you could
both
fix
of
it
them?
easily in, the number 5 by just saying, for which no other method appointment is provided by state law, this code.
Local, yeah, city code or this charter.
Or this
yeah.
charter.
Yeah, that would fix that part, presumably.
Right, that would fix that part.
Yeah.
Do you want the city council to stay out
Yes,
of
that's
your
what they-
business also?
We're for that topic, and I'm sorry to be that guy, but since we've now started to discuss 4.04, which is, of course, is in
Right.
Section 4, or Article 4, we'll need to wait to have
Right,
that
yeah.
discussion
We're
more
off the
fully,
agenda.
because we haven't noticed that up. But
Agenda
obviously, I
creep.
see how it relates to the topic of Section 2, or Article 2, which we, of course, have noticed up. But if that's, we can kind of try to remember, once we
Table it.
get to Article 4,
Bookmark
that
that
we'll
one.
make that
Yes.
change. So
Sure,
maybe we
yeah.
should focus for now on the kind of council interference part of the question.
Which is 2.12.
1.2?
Prohibitions.
Yeah, 2.12.
And that can be part of that language
Can you,
with the library and the airport, as far as
Can you-
the interference from the council, is that correct?
Well, I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Well, we're changing, we're adding, obviously, the city clerk and city attorney, and to for the council not to be, overseeing that. I mean, they can recommend, but they do not, so they
Sure.
could do the same.
It sounds like there's broad consensus to add the city attorney and city clerk to that language.
Right.
The question is, do we go further than that and
Right.
include the airport and the library?
Right.
I think it would be good to have those two so that way it's clear that they are separate entities. Yeah, you're the one who has to live with it. so.
No, I don't have to live with it. I'm just trying to make it more clear for people who do live with it. What's your language, Eric, for the new D, right?
I'm sorry, did you say the new D?
Is that didn't you write for the two? See, I didn't-
There was a D that was proposed, and Kelly and I have been looking at that. I don't think that was me who wrote that language. I think it was Commissioner Denning.
Right. And that was just thrown out there
Sure.
to bring up the issue. So
See,
in the
I think we should
memorandum
look at
then?
Eric's memo
Yes,
from
yeah.
June 12. I think that's
Right.
the simplest way
Yeah,
Yeah.
to focus.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I know,
Thank
I'm lost.
So. Okay.
I feel that the first version of the new proposed Section 212, which just adds city attorney and city clerk, is clearer, which I like. If there are other places we could delineate the structure of the airport and the library, that would be my preference, because I think it starts to get a little convoluted, doing the best you can, but in the second
Yes.
version with pulling together all the different entities.
Right.
Yeah.
Would be my recommendation.
I'll just note, if you can believe it, it was a lot more convoluted in earlier drafts of this. Because it became, we had to kind of work through, like, well, are we trying to not interfere with the library board of trustees or the executive director, who's actually the one who does the hiring? I mean, that's when I went with, if you believe it, the more simple language of just, any city, kind of working in the reverse. You can't interfere with any city employee except for these three, with whom you can interfere at will.
Well, thank you for working on that.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I wasn't really seeking praise. I just wanted to know it.
No, it's a challenging charge, for sure.
Seeking sympathy.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I think it looks good.
I think it looks great.
Yeah.
I like the top one.
Yes, that one is well-written.
All right, we
And
have
then-
consensus for the first version?
Right.
Right, and
Yep.
then have some other place where we can clarify that the library, how the library trustees and the airport commission are related to them. I wouldn't put it in that language, but what the relationship is to those two. Does that
Sure,
make
we
sense?
can all kind of, we'll try to make a note and see if we can remember to return to that, whether it's in
Yeah.
Article 4 or some other
Right.
location.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think we have a good advocate
Yeah.
on our commission. She'll help with us remembering this, so.
Yeah, because I'm not totally happy with the new language in B anyway, because you started out saying with the exception, inferring, I can never
That's
remember the
the
difference.
only-
between those, that only the chief of police and the chief of the fire department are the exceptions, when in fact then you go on to create other exceptions. So, I don't know, we work on it.
Well, yeah, it's hard because those are two different tiers, right?
Right. It's like we have
There are
different.
the three employees, the city manager, the city clerk, and the city attorney, who council hires directly. And then the chief of police and the chief of the fire department are both hired by the city manager, subject to
Right.
the approval of city council. And so they're not, I would hate to lump them into the same list because they're not the same.
Right. I almost think that the city attorney, city clerk should maybe be, to me, they're three different situations. The police and the fire chiefs are different from you and the clerk and
City manager?
this, yeah.
Yeah.
And the library board and the airport commission are different yet, but they
Yeah,
are all three exceptions
And that's all different from the rank and
that are
file
not
grants.
controlled totally by the city manager, and the powers of the council
Right.
do not affect them in various ways.
Not-
Maybe they
yeah,
need to be
not directly,
three
anyway,
different
yes.
things.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Could you have, for B, could you have with the exception of, and then have B, whatever the next sub-thing is, for one for each of those special situations with the,
Like have B1, B2, B3, or is that what you mean?
or whatever the sub-things are?
however many.
Right.
What are you talking about? I'm losing you. You're losing me on
Yeah,
that.
well,
because
we're trying to, so we figured out that there are three different things that we need to clarify that the city council doesn't get to not interfere with, but be involved in. But it's hard to put them all in one sentence because that doesn't make sense. Or, I don't know.
Is the main goal to articulate that council cannot interfere, or is it to explain the structure? Because there's section 2.8 that has appointments, and that's where it lists out, they shall appoint the city manager, they shall appoint the city clerk. Would you want to say
No, I'm just saying that just as Eric is advocating for the city attorney staff, which he should be, I'm just advocating for library staff, because that's what I know, and saying that a person that works at the library should have the same protections that a person who works in planning and zoning has.
yes.
And right now, they don't.
Right.
Well, let's save it for the
Right.
section 4 then. Let's put it in, somehow put it in there. Can we do that?
We can do that, but I just also think that this could be better
Yeah.
than the new B.
Because in section 4, you can describe the process and how it all plays out, but putting a prohibition as part of that, that would not be the right place. So,
I mean, you could start out B with, neither the council nor its members may dictate in any manner the appointment or removal, or in any manner. Any person, I don't know.
the appointment removal of, and then have sub-things. Persons appointed by the city manager, city attorney.
Right.
No, wait.
So you got the 3 staff members who are directly hired by the council, the 2
Right.
staff members that are hired by the manager, subject to the approval of the council, and then you've got the 2 staff members, department heads who are reporting to independent commissions.
So maybe we should
Well,
take
and
this
all the
up.
people that
And then
work
all the
for them.
people under them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've identified a problem,
Yes,
Yeah.
we haven't,
but wordsmithing by committee is
Right,
Yeah,
right.
it's
also
hard.
tough.
Yeah.
Is there a way for you to interpret this
Yeah.
conversation as being, is there a way to clean this up a little bit?
Sure, I can take a crack at it.
Take a crack at it.
Another
You've done a
Say
pretty
that,
good
but I want
job.
to make sure I get the consensus for the recipe for what I'm going
You've
to
done a
bake
pretty
here.
good job of it, so.
What you're looking for is to address the various entities, the three city council employees, the chief of police and the chief of fire, and then all the other employees, and basically indicate the degrees to which, if at all, the council can interfere. Is that essentially what we're getting at?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and rather than putting them in a sentence, because they are so different,
Yeah.
have that be a separate sentence that talks about how the library staff and the airport commission, though that staff is controlled by the,
Or the commission, or
by the people who hire them.
Sure. I
I'm
think.
sorry, I went blank on.
See, I don't think you have to say all that here, because this is a prohibition to the city council.
Right.
Yeah.
What can the city council
Not do.
not do? And it cannot interfere with these employees. All city, basically,
Well, yeah.
you can't interfere with anybody. If you just said all city employees, except the city manager, and the people that, right? Should
Yeah,
not
I mean,
interfere with
we
all
could just
city.
say you can not interfere with, any city employee other than these three, and then somehow get in the part about, except that they are, the chiefs are subject to their approval.
Right. Because if
Yeah.
you just say city
Yeah.
employees, not just city employees appointed by the manager, then you're good.
Well, right, that was kind of the second version, or one of the reasons I liked kind of I don't know if I should say simplicity, because it was more wordy and kind of version 2 in my memo, but yeah, I mean, it makes reference to, all city employees, and I liked the inclusiveness of that.
One thing you could do just to make it slightly cleaner down in 212 is to follow Mackenzie's suggestion, take the police and fire reference up to 2.08 appointments and somehow provide that those appointments are, they're not the same as the city manager, city clerk, or city attorney, but they are subject to approval.
Yeah.
Then you move 1/3 of the problem to another section, and now we're just dealing
The
with the other
council
two.
shall confirm the chief of police and fire, subject to the hiring of the city. I think I did that backwards.
Yeah, if you were to move that section there, and then just basically say every other city employee
Right.
you can't mess with except for the three,
Exactly.
then it seems like we're covered.
Unless the
Right.
city council has a role in hiring you,
Yeah,
then it has no role in
supervising.
supervising you.
Yeah.
There,
No, I
that's
mean,
short
we're
and
all on the same
succinct.
page about the underlying.
Yeah.
What she said.
We probably don't want to write, I assume.
But that's what we want to convey.
Yeah,
In as
I get that.
easy a way as we can.
Okay, so would you like me to take another crack at that, kind of removing the part about the chiefs to think we're going to, put it in 2.08, and then just basically say any city employees except for the three, don't mess with them,
Right.
and I'll bring another
I
draft.
think that's good.
I will not use the language, don't mess with them, but
Not doing anything foresee right now.
right, so
Not
we're
quite
not, so
legally
there's no
vetted there.
consensus, to be clear, there's no consensus for Kelly to note for now, because I'm going to bring back a
Right.
separate
Yeah.
draft and
Sounds
see what you
good.
guys think next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get a chance
We
to
have
look it over.
consensus on the.
that there may be
The
consensus.
concept, but,
Yes, it does.
as far as the actual
Absolutely.
wording,
Yeah.
we've
It
got
just needs
the
to be on
lawyers
the
for
equal
it.
basis
Yep.
with
Yes.
Parks and Rec, in this case.
I agree.
Okay. Are we clear?
Okay.
All right, item number 6, let's talk about the tentative meeting schedule. I think last meeting we determined that we wouldn't meet in July, that instead of taking August off, we'll take July off. But we have a July 30th date here. We are meeting next week from Thursday, June 27th, and do those dates look favorable to everybody here? And I see your August 27th date this is reserved for
Correct, yeah, human rights.
human rights? Okay.
This room is available
So do you-
Monday, the 26th, Wednesday, the 28th, or Thursday, the 29th.
So
Of
should we,
Of that same
should we
week,
do
yes,
one of those
August.
days then?
I
instead?
can't do the 29th. I'm not in the state.
Did you say the 26th?
Yeah, Monday or Wednesday, the room is available.
What's your pleasure?
Monday works fairly well.
Which month
Or
are we talking
Wednesday.
about?
August,
August
And Matt was
26th.
saying he wasn't available that Wednesday.
instead of the 27th.
I think
Yeah.
that Monday, the 26th is probably bad for me, unfortunately, but that, did you say Tuesday?
Wednesday.
No, or, I'm sorry, Wednesday. Wednesday would work for me.
I could do Wednesday, the 28th.
Wait a minute, Thursday, the 27th?
Is that right?
No, Tuesday,
talking
the
August.
27th
Okay,
is
I
when
got-
the regular,
talking August.
Right, I'm looking at
August.
Thursday, the 27th here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's, yeah,
Wrong month.
wait a second. I know
Right,
August
right.
27th is a Tuesday, that day is
Yeah.
tattooed in my brain.
yeah, either one works for me. I will not be.
either one works for me.
Yeah.
So
I
would-
will- Yeah, I'm sorry, I will not be in town on July 30th.
Me neither. I was gonna go back for
So
July
should we
3rd.
just eliminate July?
I thought we were not going to meet in July.
We had made that one concession.
I think we'd pretty well determined the last time.
meeting.
So August 26th, is that what we've arrived at? Matt?
8,
28.
28.
Wednesday, the 28th?
Wednesday, the 28th?
Unless there's another room we can meet in.
It says Thursday's the
Prefer that we just
27th.
Stick with this?
right?
Tuesday's the 27th, that's,
Oh, that's a
Okay,
typo.
That's
Yeah.
a typo. It's not on you. I only know
Yes,
it's my
I'm
calendars
sorry.
open.
All right.
So
That
it's,
makes- yeah, that-
I only know that
the
date 'cause it's
28th,
the first day
right?
to request ballots.
Wednesday.
If we did it Wednesday, it would be the 28th.
Let's do it Wednesday, the 28th. Does that work?
Wednesday, the 28th.
August 28th,
I
yeah.
thought you said that was bad for you, Matt.
How's that? Wednesday, August 28th?
I can do that.
Okay, let's go with that.
It's the Thursday.
Okay.
And then are we eliminating Tuesday, July 30th?
That is correct.
Okay. I just,
Okay.
Now, I'd like to ask,
So
I'd like to ask
no meetings in July, and just in August, then the 13th and the 28th,
correct. Several
paper calendar.
several questions for the commissioners going forward with what our topics are going to be. I think we need to try to arrive at some areas that we're going to be discussing, especially prior to our public hearings. And again, we haven't decided. I was thinking public hearings, that my suggestion would be in September, if that's workable, if we can get a room in the library, possibly,
For September?
for September.
Better for me than October.
And
Yeah.
well, I'm just thinking, as we get closer to the end of the year,
Yeah.
it would be nice if we could have a product ready to go to the city council the first of the year. And after those public hearings, that's when we really start making some decisions here.
Are public hearing going to be every time we meet, or just?
No, that would be strictly to get public input. And we need to advertise this so people know, because I can tell you firsthand, the number of people I've talked to that don't have a clue of what we're doing or even know that we exist. It's really, it's very
When something
disheartening.
happens once every 10 years.
I know, but
You'd
some
think
people don't
give
even
us
know,
the
they don't
publicity
even,
They give those damn cicadas,
yeah.
right? But no.
We don't make as much noise.
But people are not, this isn't on their radar. I can tell you that for a
Yeah.
fact. So
Right.
we're going to have to do a lot of our own
Yeah.
encouraging of people, so.
So both September meetings you'd like at the library?
Well, I think we ought to give an opportunity for two meetings, don't you, for two public meetings?
When is our September meeting?
But I
We-
think one of them,
Or should we have one of our own and then one,
I think one should be maybe at a different place and a
10th and
different
27th.
time. I don't know.
So it has
Or no.
26th.
where would it be?
6th, 10th and 26th.
it has to be, public meeting is one of those two, or it's in another day?
I understand that some of the public hearings were on Saturdays. I don't know if that, in the past, I don't know if that's an opportunity for more people to be able to engage.
Possibly, that's a good thought.
Maybe one of them, we could see if there's a Iowa City Public Library room open.
Sure.
Have open
It's a good idea,
hours.
yeah.
I think we should come next time with some dates that would work for all of us so that we can get that in the books and have Kelly help us get a room.
not a conflict with the Iowa football games either.
What's our bye week?
But you could have a morning meeting if the
Yeah.
game was
In
an
the
away
afternoon.
game at 1 o'clock or something.
Just
I
be
also-
careful.
I mean, every Saturday.
I know.
September.
I'm talking the home games.
Right.
I don't care. I don't really care about the away games.
I also think there's value in finding partner organizations like the League of Women Voters or other people who have an already
Very good
engaged
point.
base of members that they could promote on our behalf.
That's
Because if
an-
it's just our networks, it
that's an-
won't be the diversity.
That's an
Right.
excellent idea.
So
Well,
if
the
people have
League of,
suggestions of who we could.
I have talked to the president, our most current president, Vicky, about doing, I brought up that we were wanting to do a forum with them that they, and so that is out there.
50 years ago, the league was a very instrumental agent in promoting our city charter. They don't seem to have as much influence, in my humble opinion, that they used to have, or they are not as interested, but it would be great to have them because they're a viable organization as far as getting people. So whoever has connection with the league, Jennifer, let's,
We're both on the league.
I'm on the board.
okay, well, we should really hear, that's a good idea, Mackenzie. We need to partner. That would be an
May I also
excellent idea.
suggest something, please, Kelly? Can we take a picture of all of us and then have Channel 4 as well? If you guys can do interview, also, we need that picture if we're gonna collaborate with other organization, that they have a picture of who are the charter people, so they can promote that as well. We can also promote that on, we have a Facebook, right?
The city does,
does,
yes,
sorry.
yes.
The city does, I apologize, Facebook, but if they can just say charter review, but if they don't have a picture or something, if we can, one week, dress nice, I'm sorry.
Just that 1 week.
Have,
That's a good idea.
just that.
That's-
And
yeah, it's
also,
good.
I have a question about the Saturday public hearing. Can we do it maybe at the rec center because of parking? The public library I've attended, a lot of people don't attend because of
I don't know where to park.
the parking here, the rec center here.
And the bus goes there. So that would be,
Rec Center.
Yes.
So-
What's that?
the bus is just as close to the rec center as, I don't own a car, so, like, well, North Liberty, and I go, no. Corderville's okay because the bus goes, but that's 2. But the rec center, I think, would work.
This one here, the rec
If I could jump in on dates, the football bye week is September 28th. I'm sure a lot of people will pile events onto that day, but that would probably be the best shot for a weekend event.
And then we'll have to just see what's available, because sometimes others use that by weekend at the rec center to have arts festivals and things like that,
That's true.
crafts things that are
Yeah.
going on, so.
Well,
we'll have to
wherever
check.
we can get.
Yeah, wherever we can get.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you could do it in this room, couldn't you?
house plans.
I mean, we could fit the 9 commission people up there, and you could do it in this room, which
Put a bunch of,
is the seat of government.
it's been,
Or we could stay here, they can put chairs up.
And we do it, yeah, because we used to have the league's legislative forums in here until they got a little bit too big.
Yeah.
And maybe we could make it,
I mean, it has
if
a
it's
big screen, you can
possible,
put the
to stream too.
stuff
for-
up there and the stuff.
Right, I think with enough advance notice, we could both probably, I'm going to say probably, project it up there. Now, again, whether you'd want to kind of, that would probably be more for explanation than wordsmithing on the fly.
Right.
In that kind of format of a meeting. And the other point about televising, yeah, again, I'm sure with enough notice, we could make that happen as well.
Yeah,
Right.
that
And
might
there's
be good.
room up there for all of us and YouTube.
Right, and frankly, if we're going to televise, I'd prefer this room because it's already set up.
Right, right,
Our
right.
The city staff already knows how to make that happen. That would be much
Yeah, I
easier.
think that would be, those chairs look really comfortable.
I was going to say, not so much.
I think there's there's an issue of getting people to come, but there's even the more immediate issue of informing people of what some of the suggested change, or, what some of the things they might want to be thinking about. Because, you can suggest that everybody read the city charter, and it's hard to understand some of the things. It's as clear as you can make it. So maybe in partnering with these groups, you could task them, get us an audience, get us an informed audience, let people know what the kinds of things they're being thought about, and how do you feel about those sort of things. I don't know, because otherwise, people won't come if they really just don't even know, what's going on.
I've been telling people specifically about 2 possible changes, and that's what I've been focusing on when I talk to people.
Yeah, that's what I have.
That gets people's attention
Yeah.
very fast. Now,
Yeah, the mayor and the
district.
the districts, if you focus people say, oh, yes, I want those changes, or no, I don't want them.
Right.
I'm going to be speaking next Thursday to the Kiwanis at St. Mark's Thursday morning. That's a pretty active group, and my intention there is just to give them information, and so they'll know what's in front of us and what we're doing. And so that'll be Thursday the 27th. And it's at St. Mark's on Washington Street. And then also I mentioned I'm going to try to get our friends at KCJJ to give us an audience too. So just to maybe get people's awareness level. 'Cause right now,
Right, yeah,
it's just,
nobody
it's kind of
knows.
like the elections. People are maybe waiting until.
Last minute, yeah.
Can we have flyers? Can we have flyers? Are we allowed to have flyers for the charters? So I can share some with other organizations that have events when we can we also have maybe a table just to be there with those, just like what the HRC does, to promote that as well.
Yeah, let me take those in turn. So flyers, sure, as long as it's a flyer that the, whole group either approves as a commission, or you assign to staff to do, up to you. And then for the table, I guess I'm not sure I follow, where would the table be?
Sometimes there's events that happen.
Oh,
and then,
okay.
The HRC has a table, other organizations have tables.
I
We
see.
can have the charter review table with the information, who we are, what we do for those events, so people at least know who we are.
Like a farmer's market kind of
Yes.
event, those kind of events?
Yes.
We can certainly look into that, sure. And again, we would want to have those probably staffed by, 1 or 2 commissioners. We certainly wouldn't want to have a quorum.
Right.
If that's okay with you guys.
And I feel like we need to have be a little more down the road with, we've decided we're going to have a place on the city's website that people can go and look at what we've done. I mean, it would be nice, like you say, to have a picture there of the commission and what our charge is, and then that could also be on a simple flyer that says, people have been working on this since, I can't remember when we started, and look here to see what they're working on, and there's going to be opportunities for you to come, and you can come to any meeting to comment, or you can come to these 2 public hearings we have scheduled or something.
We can
have
certainly
all
do a
that.
QR code on that flyer, too.
Yeah, that's
so
what I was
Yeah.
going to just say,
Yeah.
is that's, a lot of people really appreciate QR codes nowadays. You can just pull it up on their phone.
And
Another
the city
suggestion-
buses would
Okay.
be,
I know we're not meeting in July, but for that picture, can we have a day, maybe, so they can have all that information in time?
June 27th, we're meeting, though.
Oh, there you go. Next week,
27th?
Can we have the picture?
Everybody be ready, photogenic ready.
Let me ask the commissioners about our meeting on Thursday, June 27th, as far as our topic. We initially went through the charter gave it a broad brush, wondering if we shouldn't circle back and try to get through as much of the rest of it as we can. I know there were comments made at the time of certain, and I can't remember, quite honestly, what people brought up, but we might want to come back and revisit those, because frankly, once we get into August and September, then we really should be focusing, I think, on the issues that are really.
The big one.
People that are really interested in. Yeah, and that's my thought. If that's agreeable to everybody, we could start, the next meeting and start going through. And I don't know, Kelly, if you have the minutes or have what we talked about in that initial, we gave it a very quick, broad brush at that time.
April 8th meeting, or, no, wait, when we didn't meet, April 9th meeting.
So if there's something there, but if that's agreeable, that may be our next meeting that we can.
Skip over the most controversial, or the, most complex ones.
Right.
And just check off some of these others.
other sections.
Yeah, because
That's gonna
we
make
want
us hard.
to allow time for the future, to give us adequate time for full, healthy discussion when we have everybody here.
So basically, Article 3 and forward.
Right,
Great, yeah,
The-
nomination.
See what we can accomplish.
right,
But we're circling back
That's
to,
primary.
we're finishing up to Article 2 next time.
right.
with-
And Article 2 just has a few things left.
Yes.
All right.
Language
So,
that you've asked me to
section two.
draft, I'll bring that back, and
Right.
then make sure you're content with the
Sure.
entirety of Article 2, and then moving on through 3 and subsequent.
Right,
Okay.
okay?
So we'll be going over 3?
Well, we're going to finish 2.
Finish two.
Gotta
We
finish
got a
2.
few things left in 2 yet, but those. All right. Item 7, community comment. Nobody is here, I guess. They've left, so. Item 8 is adjournment. A motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Molly.
Maliago.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Patel. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.